No, never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition Player's Handbook read-through, and today we're finishing off our classes review with the Rogue. That's right, the easiest, most squishy, hardest to actually adjudicate, play, and survive with, but the easiest to get to 20th level. Does all that sound good to you? Well, let's read it. All right, here we go. The Rogue. That's all the.
I'm going to say it again since we're actually in the section. I got into a big argument a while ago over the word rogue. I'm like, that started with 3rd edition. No, it started with 2nd edition. No, it didn't. There's no rogue in 2nd edition. It's thief and bard. And then he's like, open up the book. And I open up the book. It's like, mother. We never called him that, though. Never used the term.
No. Rogues are people who feel that the world and everyone in it somehow owes them a living. They get by day, living in the highest style they can afford and doing as little work as possible. The less they have to toil and struggle like everyone else while maintaining a comfortable standard of living, the better off they think they are. While this attitude is neither evil nor cruel, it does not foster a good reputation. Many a rogue has a questionable past or a shady background he'd prefer was left uninvestigated. Rogues combine a few of the qualities of other character classes. They're allowed to use a wide variety of magical items, weapons, and armor. Rogues have some special abilities that are unique to their group. All rogues tend to be adept at languages and thus have a percentage chance to read strange writings they come across. All are skilled in climbing and clinging to small cracks and outcroppings, even more skilled than the hardy men of the mountains. They are alert and attentive, hearing things that others would miss. Finally, they are dexterous and just a little bit light-fingered, able to perform tricks and filch small items with varying degrees of success. Rogues have a number of special abilities, such as picking pockets, detecting noise, for which they are given a percentage chance of success. When a rogue tries to use a special ability, a percentile die roll determines whether it succeeds or fails. If the die roll is equal to or less than the special ability score, great. If not, bad. All rogues use the table 25 for experience. All rogues get a D6 hit die per level, levels 1 through 10, or actually not. After 10th level, rogues earn 2 hit points per level and no longer receive any constitution bonuses if they did already.
And just as a reminder, that's true for every character class out there. They all go to level 9 and then, or 10, whatever. And then after that, they no longer.
It's 1, 2,
bonuses. 1, 2, or 3.
Sometimes 3 in special circumstances.
Yeah, so something that came up in some of the comments that we received over a few days, I've had some necro posting on some older videos, and I was thinking about this for this week, is that I sometimes think that people that prefer skill-based games have some heartburn and still want to try to play Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is a class-based game. If you don't like how Dungeons & Dragons defines thief or bard or limits them, or anybody that's just a big guy that's a thug that can punch somebody in the face is a thief, then you're misunderstanding what the point is. These are tropes. The idea of the fighter is to go fight stuff. The idea of the wizard is to go hoobada and have magic effects. The idea of the cleric is to lay on hands and go out there and also be a fighting monk. Or lay on hands, technically paladin, but you get the idea. And the thief's idea is to go out there and disarm traps and go and do your dungeon crawl for you, whether he's a scrupulous thief or he's a totally anarchic thief or he's the most evil POS that just leaves you in the dungeon and shuts the trap on you. The point is you all have your role. That's the concept of a class-based game. If you don't like what that role is, go play a skill-based game or play a different class.
Yes. The rogue in general, thief and bard, in this case for this book, have a mindset. And this mindset is get as much as you can for as little work as you can. That's their job. Now, how you go about doing that determines your alignment and how many people like you. So bear that in mind. All right. Speaking of, let's go to the thief. Minimum dexterity requirement is 9. Your prime requisite is dexterity, and all races can be a thief. Thieves come in all sizes and shapes, ready to live off the fat of the land by the easiest means possible. In some ways, they are the epitome of roguishness. Yes, they are. They're a rogue mindset on steroids. The profession of thief is not honorable, yet it is not entirely dishonorable. Yes, it is. Many famous folk heroes have been more than a little larcenous. Reynard the Fox, Robin Goodfellow, the Ali Baba are but a few. At his best, the thief is a romantic hero fired by noble purpose, but with little wanting in strength of character. Such a person may truly strive for good, but continually run afoul of temptation. So, you can be all the high-minded you want. When it comes to where you're getting your next food or where you're getting your next rest, you're going to do whatever it takes to get into that hotel or to get your belly full or to get in that girl's pants. That's it. Prime requisite is dexterity. You need a minimum of 9. If you have a 16 or more, you gain 10% bonus experience points. And thieves have a limited selection of weapons. Most of their time is spent practicing thieving, not practicing stabbing. So they are allowed club, dagger, dart, hand crossbow, knife, lasso, short bow, sling, broadsword, longsword, short sword, and staff. The thief can wear leather, studded leather, padded leather, or even elven chain armor. Good luck getting that at level 1. If you get that at level 1, your game master is doing it wrong. Unless you're an elf, I suppose you have a better chance. But when wearing any allowed armor other than leather, the thief's abilities are penalized. See table 29, which we're going to look at actually next because it's the next table. To determine the initial value of each... wait, is that it? Yeah. To determine the initial value of each skill, start with the base skills scored in table 26. Every thief starts off exactly the same. That's what you get. Pickpockets, open locks, find and remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, detect noise, climb walls, read languages. Every first level thief gets these skills at this score. Now, after that, as we can see, there's a racial adjustment. Let's read it. Any appropriate modifiers for race, dexterity, and armor worn are then taken into account. Well, let's find out. Race. If you are a dwarf, you get a plus 10% and plus 15% for open locks and find and remove traps, respectively. That's because dwarves have that sense. They have an automatic sense for secret doors, passages, architectural hiding crap, stuff like that. So their natural talent adds into their skill. Makes sense. They're also minus 10% and 5% for climb walls and read languages. Why? Because dwarves are stocky, their limbs are shorter, they're not as good at climbing. It's a physical limitation. That's the way it is. And read languages, that's more of a cultural thing, I think, because dwarves aren't dumber than everyone else. They just don't give a crap about your little squirrely little floofy looking language. That's my interpretation anyway. Yours may vary. Elves, gnomes, half elves, and halflings have modifiers as well. The halfling, seemingly, the halfling and the gnome have I believe the best modifiers out of all the other races. The gnome has 1 minus 15, plus 5s everywhere. The halfling has 1 minus 15, 1 minus 5, but an extra plus 5. So it evens out. It evens out to the percentage wise. Everyone else has less.
That little Tootsie Roll fingers. It's hard to grab onto that rope or get your fingers into those handholds to climb. I get it.
Fair enough. Yep. And then you have a dexterity modifier. This is the easiest one that, if you're an elf, this is probably great because you get that, plus 1 dex again. But if you have a 16 or higher, which means you're already getting 10% experience bonus, because that's your prime requisite, you're also getting bonuses to at least open locks because you are that dexterous. Your fingers, you're like a surgeon. Your fingers are that precise. And it goes higher and higher as it goes. And as you can see, it goes to 19 because a first level character can have a 19 dexterity.
But halfling and elf, right? Not
yep.
Halfling and elf.
The scores arrived at in the preceding paragraph do not reflect the effort a thief has spent honing his skills. To simulate this extra training, all thieves at first level experience have 60 discretionary percentage points that they can add to their base scores. No more than 30 points can be assigned to a single skill. So you get these base scores. You get the racial adjustments, you get the dex adjustments. And then after that, you have 60 percentage points to put anywhere you like, maximum of 30 in a single skill.
Which
so
is
if you want to
different than
specialize,
previous editions, which pretty much just said, here's the
but
number.
here's your chart, suck it up. Yeah, no. You get to specialize if you want. Or if you don't, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 divided by 60, round down and put that plus 1 somewhere else. Great.
Yeah, typically what I did when I played Thieves, and that's how I kind of started playing Dungeons and Dragons, was playing a lot of Thieves. So I have not done it in a long time. Is I kind of picked, like, what did I want my shtick to be? Did I want it to be picking locks? Did I want it to be, open locks, find and remove traps? Or did I want it to be sneaky, move hide in shadows? And I just went 30-30 in whatever it was. Okay. Usually it was in the open locks, find and remove traps.
Okay.
Because that was more important for the group.
If I'm playing a thief, I have the same decision as well. Do I want to be a thief? Or do I want to be a spy thief? If I want to be a thief, then pick pockets and move silently. That's my jam. Sneak up on you, steal your stuff, sneak away. Sounds great. But if I want to be a spy thief, well then hide in shadows, move silently, climb walls. Those are the ones I'm going to focus on. Now, normally I'm usually not the trap monkey when I play a thief. Why not? I'm like, I just don't want it. I don't like it. That's just me. But I usually make one of those two decisions. Each time the thief rises a level in experience, the player receives another 30 points to spend, 30 percentage points to spend on all of their skills. Only 15% can be added to a single skill at a time. So it's just half of when you got to level 1. No skill can be raised above 95%, including all adjustments for dexterity, race, and armor. Now, I don't know why they said armor. I don't know why the book said armor. I don't get
armor
it.
Adjustment.
The armor adjustment's always down. If you have anything above leather, you're adjusting it down. So I don't understand where this comes from.
I agree with you, because what I'm about to say probably wasn't a consideration for this, but there are magic armors that do improve.
Yeah, but again, it's something that you don't have all the time. That's not an actual skill. Right. That's an enhancement or adjustment. So yeah, I just lose the word armor in there and it works out better in my mind. As an option, the DM can rule that some portion of the points earned must be applied to skills used during the course of the adventure. If your game master wants to be more holistic, then if you are a trap monkey and your group goes through a bunch of dungeons and you've used, these skills, find and remove traps, detect noise, read languages, if you've used those skills most, the dungeon master could say that you must spend a certain percentage of your largesse every time you go up a level on these skills, because that's what you practice most.
Especially if you're not incorporating training rules.
Yeah. So, be wary. It's in the book. The dungeon master can caveat that to you, and he'll be perfectly within his realm of abilities to do that. In addition to the base percentages listed above, demi-human characters and characters with high or low dex scores have adjustments to their base numbers. We've already looked at that. Some of the characters may find that after adjustments, they have negative scores. In this case, the character must spend points raising his skill percentage to at least 1 before he can use the skill. Some races just aren't very good at certain things. Well, let's look. Let's see. Base score of find and remove traps is 5. Does anyone have a minus? Nope, no minus there. Where's the minuses at? Climb walls is 60%, so no one's going to go below that. Open locks, that's -5. If you have a dexterity of 10 and you happen to be an elf, your open locks is at 0%. You cannot attempt your open lock skill unless you put at least 1 point into it. But let's say you're also wearing armor. This is a new adjustment. It modifies your total. And if it brings you to 0 or less, you can't use that skill anymore. You got to take off your armor. So, what armor do you want to use? That's important when you're distributing your skill points. Something to think about. A thief character uses the no armor column if wearing bracers of defense or a cloak without large or heavy protective clothing. So, leather or under, basically, and there's no penalty. Anything more than that, there is a penalty. It doesn't. Where does it say the armor penalty? Maybe it's later.
I don't remember. No. Well, you're still
table 29. Table 29. We were coming up on it.
Yeah, you're just in the rogue area right now. You're not in the.
There we go.
Yet, are you?
No armor, elven chain,
yeah,
padded or studded leather. Look at these minuses: -30, -10, -20, -20. Jesus.
And notice it's elven chain, not your normal everyday common garden variety chain.
Yeah,
you're not.
That sucks.
You're not doing those things in chain.
Now, no armor. These are bonuses for no armor at all. Leather armor and below, I think it's leather and padded armor.
That's just leather.
Isn't there padded
AC8,
armor?
It's just AC8. No, padded is there with studded leather.
Oh, padded. Okay, just leather armor. Then you don't get these bonuses, but you don't get any minuses. No armor at all, you get these bonuses. So as a thief, you are easier to hit than most folk, but you do have a higher dexterity on average than most folk. But 14 or higher to get that -1 to your AC, that's rough. That's not an easy roll. So I understand that you're going to want to shy away from direct combat, but luckily that's exactly what you're supposed to do. But that's a preview. Let's go back here. Skill explanation: pickpockets. Guess what? Pickpockets. Use skill when filching small items from other people's pockets, sleeves, girdles, packs, etc. When palming items such as keys, and when performing simple sleight of hand. So it's not just picking someone's pocket. Simple sleight of hand, close-up magic. Entertain people, entertain kids, get money in a town square. You can do that. Run a shell game. Cheat everyone. You're a thief. Yeah, man. You're gonna have a shell game. Follow the queen. It's rigged because of the pickpocket skill. You're good to go. You're a money printing machine. A failed attempt means the thief did not get an item, but it does not mean that his attempt was detected. To determine whether the victim noticed the thief's indiscretion, subtract 3 times the victim's level from 100. If the thief's pickpocket roll was equal to or greater than this number, the attempt is detected. A 0-level victim, for example, notices the attempt only if he was to roll 100, while a 13th level character notices the attempt on a die roll of 61 or more. In some cases, the attempt may succeed and be noticed at the same time. Okay, this is something that most tables don't do. If you fail your pickpocket roll, usually the dungeon master says you just got caught. That is technically not true. You can fail and your victim still be oblivious to what almost happened. Just because you failed in the attempt doesn't mean you bumped into him wrong or jostled his pockets or made a noise. Doesn't mean that. It can mean that. Doesn't have to. So, dungeon masters, when your thief is picking someone's pocket and they fail, use this mechanic to see if they get caught. And what else we got? That's okay over here. And it gives a huge example right here. I'm not going to go over it. The thief can try to pick someone's pocket as many times as he wants. Neither failure nor success prevents additional attempts, but getting caught might. Even if you fail, you can still try again. Even if you fail and get caught, you can still try again. Although that's going to be harder because the dude's looking at you. Probably angry. So, there's that. Open locks. A thief can try to pick padlocks, finesse combination locks, and solve puzzle locks. Picking a padlock requires tools. Using typical thieves' tools grants normal chances of success. Using improvised tools, wire dirk, stick, whatever, imposes a penalty. The DM sets the penalty based on the situation. They range from -5% to -60% for something dumb as a stick. The amount of time required to pick a lock is 1d10 rounds. A thief can try to pick a particular lock only once per experience level. If the attempt fails, the lock is simply too difficult for the character until he learns more about lock picking. Okay, this one I don't agree with, but it's written in the book. I homebrewed this one out. You can pick a lock as in my game. You can pick a lock. You can try to pick a lock as many times as you want.
Well,
many
what the
times
fuck is the point? Because sooner or later you're just going to succeed.
Yeah, but it's going to take all that time. And obviously, if you're picking a lock, you want to be sneaky. So, you don't want to be there that long. So maybe you have to abandon it because it's taking too long. That's fine. But a lock doesn't fight back. A lock doesn't try to outsmart you. You will eventually get it. Definitely. But is it in time? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
You don't have to.
Because there are other ways to open the door. If the thief fails, well, maybe you have to bash it down. Maybe you have to think of a way around. Like that. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, you're picking the lock to be secret, though. I mean,
yeah, well, that's fine. But I know people who know how to pick locks. They work for the cops, FBI, and so forth. If they don't pick my front door, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're like, oh, hold on, I'll be fine. I'll get it. Sometimes you break the lock. Sometimes you just can't get in. People have security locks that are actually meant to thwart things like that. Sure. I disagree that you automatically just get in.
You will eventually. It's just, do you want to wait? Do you have the time?
Yeah, that's not reality, so I can't.
It is reality. But anyway, moving on. The thief is trained to find small traps and alarms. These include poison needles, spring blades, deadly gases, and warning bells. This skill is not effective for finding deadfall ceilings, crushing walls, or other large mechanical traps. To find the trap, the thief must be able to touch and inspect the trapped object. Normally, the DM rolls the dice to determine whether the thief finds the trap. If the DM says, you didn't find any traps, it's up to the player to decide whether that means there are no traps or you just suck. If the thief finds a trap, he knows its general principle, but not its exact nature. A thief can check an item for traps once per experience level. Searching a trap takes 1d10 rounds. That's apparently very common. Thieving things take 1d10 rounds. Apparently.
Because remember, 10 rounds is a turn.
I know. Once a trap is found, the thief can try to remove it or disarm it. This also requires, guess what? 1d10 rounds. If the die roll indicates success, the trap is disarmed. If the die roll indicates failure, the trap is beyond the thief's current skill. Now remember, it didn't say the trap goes off. It said it's beyond his skill. It means he doesn't know how to do it. Or he has the wrong tools and he has to touch this thing, touch that thing at the same time, and he just can't do it. Doesn't mean it goes off. A lot of dungeon masters I've seen, if you fail the disarm traps, you set off the trap. No. That is not what it means. He can try disarming the trap again when he advances next level. If the die roll is 96 to 100, then he accidentally triggers the trap and suffers the consequences. It's not regular failure, it's botching. If you botch, then you set off the trap. A thief will deliberately spring a trap rather than risk a botched disarming attempt, depending on what the trap is. If you're disarming a trap that's right in front of you and the trap makes spikes shoot out from the walls, well, as long as you're not standing there, set it off, right? Do it. No one's going to get hurt. And now it won't work anymore. Awesome. If you have that choice. The skill is far less useful when dealing with magical or invisible traps. Thieves can attempt to remove these traps, but their chances of success are half their normal percentages. Magic works differently. It augments reality, basically, or rewrites reality in some cases. So it's not going to work exactly like a fully mechanical trap. So you're going to have a harder time disabling it. Makes sense. Move silently. Guess what this does? A thief can try to move silently at any time simply by announcing he intends to do so. While moving silently, the thief's movement rate is reduced to 1/3 normal. The DM rolls percentile dice to determine whether the thief is moving silently. The thief always thinks he's being quiet. Successful silent movement improves the thief's chance of surprising a victim, avoid discovery, or more move into position to stab an enemy in the back. Obviously, a thief moving silently, but in plain view, is wasting his time. Yes, moving silently doesn't make you invisible. Sorry, people can still see you with their magical eyeballs. So, if nobody can see you and you make sure nobody can hear you, well, you're like 90% home to not being detected at all. Hide in shadows. A thief can try to disappear into shadows or any other type of concealment, bushes, curtains, crannies, whatever. A thief can hide this way only when no one is looking at him. Now, this doesn't mean, well, if I'm looking at the spot he's hiding, now I'm looking at him. No, you're looking at a bush. You are now looking at a curtain. You are not looking at him. Now, if you watched him hide, that's different. That's what it's saying. Your enemy cannot see you hide. And if they can, then you can't be hidden because they saw you go there. You're not.
This is one of those areas where I understand where it's coming from, but I kind of like more modern games where they just have like a stealth roll or a prowl roll or whatever, combining the two. Because this seems like a double point of failure for a thief, and I've saw that when I played thieves, or even when I was dungeon mastering and somebody played a thief. Oftentimes, you made you move silently, but you're hiding shadows. Too bad, Just seemed like a double whammy for them instead of just having one potential roll. Now you got two to get caught. Oof.
Yeah, a thief can never become hidden while a guard is watching him, no matter what it is. His position is obvious. However, trying to hide from a creature that is locked in battle with another is possible as the enemy's attention is fixed elsewhere. The DM rolls a dice and keeps the result secret, but the thief always thinks he is hidden. Remember, this is important for the dungeon master. When a thief is moving silently, he thinks he's the quietest thing that ever walked this earth. No matter what the roll, he thinks I'm good. Same with hide in shadows. No matter what the roll, you as a thief think you are perfectly hidden. I am skilled. I am better than James Bond. Suck it. Whether you are or not is up to the die roll. Hiding in shadows cannot be done in total darkness, since the talent lies in fooling the eye as much as in finding real concealment. This is something that a lot of people don't like. But in total darkness, how can I not hide successfully? No, total darkness gives a minus to attack rolls, to defense, all that stuff. You can't hide if no one can see.
You're already hidden, but I've seen a
chicken
lot of
and the egg thing.
I've seen a lot of players and dungeon masters still roll hide in shadows in pure darkness where only low light can see you, or not low light, sorry, infravision can see you. I've seen players cry about it. I'm not gonna lie, I got to the point where, again, I just kind of like, whatever. Just, if you want to roll your hide in shadows, that's fine. I don't give a dang what you roll because you feel like you need to do it. Go ahead and roll. But I already knew that it was dark. But I've seen a lot of people cry about that.
Yeah. Well, just point them to this page in the book.
Well, also, just again, like you said, it's already dark.
Yeah. It says total darkness, which means you're not hiding from anyone's sight because no one has sight. And if anyone has senses that can pierce total darkness, you're probably not hiding from that. If someone has infravision and you're hiding behind a bush, sorry, dude, they can still see you. You're much hotter than the bush. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway. However, hidden characters are equally concealed to those with or without infravision. Spells, magical items, and special abilities that reveal invisible objects can reveal the location of a hidden thief. Ugh. I don't know if I like that. Special abilities that reveal invisible objects can reveal a location of a hidden thief. I do not agree with that personally. Being hidden and being invisible is two different mechanics in my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally don't agree with that. But anyway, let's move on. Detect noise. A good thief pays attention to every detail, no matter how small, including faint sounds that most others miss. His ability to hear tiny sounds behind doors, down long hallways, is much better than the ordinary person's. Listening is not automatic. The thief must stand still and concentrate. There you go. On
And
what he's
shush
hearing
his
for one
friends
round.
up around him.
Yeah, shh. Shut up, Billy. He must have silence in his immediate surroundings and must remove his helmet or hat. Well, if it's just a ball cap, no one cares. It's not. Stop it. Don't get weird on me. Sounds filtering through doors or other barriers are unclear at best. So you may be able to detect the sound. It does not necessarily mean you will understand either what it is or, if it's speaking, what the other person is saying. You can say that is speech, but could sound like Charlie Brown's mom. You're never going to know what the person's actually saying. You just know that a person is there and talking. Climbing walls. Although everyone can climb rocky cliffs and steep slopes, the thief is far superior to others in this ability. Not only does he have a better climbing percentage than other characters, he can also climb most surfaces without tools, ropes, or devices. Only the thief can climb smooth and very smooth surfaces without gear. Of course, the thief is very limited in his actions while climbing. He's unable to fight or effectively defend himself because, your hands and feet are busy. I get that. I got no problem with that. Read languages. Out of necessity, thieves tend to learn odd bits of information. Among these is the ability to read various languages, particularly as they apply to treasure maps, deeds, secret notes, and the like. At 4th level, the thief has enough exposure to languages that he has a chance to read most non-magical writing. Non-magical is important because magical writing is very different. The ability naturally improves with more experience. However, your DM can rule that some languages, those the thief has never encountered, are indecipherable to the thief. Now, this one I completely agree with, especially the one you've never been introduced to, because I've been on this planet for almost 50 years. He's been on this planet for a little over 50 years, and while I cannot say I can read, write, or speak Italian, Latin, French, German, Spanish, if you give me a sentence, I may be able to pick out enough words that I've learned just from context, other people saying stuff, reading something else, to get a gist of the meaning. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Could it be good enough to get by? Maybe so.
Well, just to piggyback on that, yesterday my wife and I were watching a bunch of spoof videos on like Harriet Potter Soviet version, things like that. And I know Russian, right? And and on the Japanese / Korean stuff, well, she didn't understand the Korean. She's been exposed to a lot more of it. She was like, yeah, they're actually using Korean words. And on the Russian, I was like, yep, they're actually using, and they're conjugating the verbs properly and so forth. Now, did I understand it fluently without the closed captioning? No, I got that 20%, but I did understand 20% of what they're saying. I knew, say, okay, got something about Harry Potter, something about red flags, something. Okay, yeah, did it solve the song for me? Nope.
But
hey, Doc, good to see you.
It may have given you a gist of what was going on.
Yep.
And that's exactly what this skill does. It gets you there only faster because as a thief, you pay more attention to all this stuff, so you learn it faster. There it is. The die roll to read a language must be made every time the character tries to read a document, not just once per language. Because every document is written with different words, and you may not have run across those words before. So, every roll. A successful roll means the thief puzzled out the meaning of the writing. His understanding of the document is roughly equal to his percentage chance of success. A 20% chance means that if a thief understands it at all, he only gets 20% of the meaning. I love this.
Yep.
I love this a lot because if you can dump this up to 95%, who needs language skills? Shit. If you make that roll, which you probably will, then you understand 95% of the document.
Well, but if you only understand 20% of the document, it could be instructions for how to disarm a bomb.
Yeah.
Yet, that these are instructions to disarm a bomb.
But that's about it. So there you go. So if you want to be this guy, you got to put a lot of points into it because you start with 0. So you'll be spending a few levels dumping your points into it. Only one die roll can be made for any particular document at any given experience level. This one I understand because the whole read languages thing is based on actual experience in seeing it translated, understanding certain words, and you just need to learn more. You definitely need to learn more to read this document if you fail. You don't know enough of the words on this document to understand it. I get it. I'm all behind that. If the character knows how to read a given language because he spent a proficiency slot on it, if you use proficiencies, this die roll is unnecessary for documents in that language. And these are the other abilities that aren't the percentage abilities. These are the normal thief abilities you think of every time you think of a thief. Backstabber. Thieves are weak in toe-to-toe hacking matches because they don't wear good armor. So they take a hit, they take all the hit. And they hit more often. It sucks. So where do you want to be? Not in front. Thieves, rogues in general, but thieves in particular, come at you asymmetrically. They come at you from the sides. They come at you from the back. They don't come at you from the front because that's where they die. That's their kill box. No, they want you in a kill box. So come at you from angles. They're masters of knifing you in the back. When attacking someone by surprise and from behind, a thief can improve his chance to hit +4 for a rear attack and negates target shield and dexterity bonuses. If it's from the back and surprise, very important. From the back means if they have a shield, doesn't matter. You are literally behind the shield at this point. And if it's in surprise, your dexterity bonus doesn't matter because he doesn't know you're there. So he's not going to dodge. So you're already winning. And on top of this already winning, you're double winning because it greatly increases the amount of damage the blow causes. To use this ability, the thief must be behind his victim and the victim must be unaware that the thief intends to attack him. That's very specifically worded. He must know you're there and that you're not going to attack. Why does that matter, Dog?
Well, it matters because dungeon masters screw thieves over because of this.
Yeah. What happens is if you are a prisoner and you have gotten out of your bonds because you're a good thief and you pull out your hidden knife because you're a good thief and your would-be abductor steps in front of you, he knows you are there, but he has no idea you even can attack him, let alone will. You get your backstab bonus. He knew you were there the whole time, but never in his wildest dreams did he expect to get stabbed. You get your bonus.
Yeah, see, in my experience, the dungeon masters literally do the opposite. I played with one dungeon master who said that a thief can only backstab one time per fight because after that, the enemies basically know you're there because they can't not know you're there because your buddy screamed from being stabbed in the back, and they know that you're going to attack because you are now an enemy because you just attacked one of them. So it's impossible for you to get a second backstab in a fight. I've dealt with that guy. I've dealt with a guy who would have taken yours and said, no, it says on there you must be unaware that the thief intends to attack, whereas it must be behind. You weren't behind, and because those two criteria both must be met, you weren't behind, so therefore you can't backstab. Basically, I understand why that wording is there, and I understand you don't want the thief backstabbing literally every single attack, every single round. I completely understand that. But if you only allow him to backstab once, and I think Heathen Dog's example is wrong compared to the rules, but is right compared to the way it should be implemented. You had no expectation of it. Swap. That should be considered a backstab. But I've seen this one looked up so many times. And it's always the dungeon master being, in my opinion, the dungeon master is the one that's being kind of the jerk in this because he doesn't want you getting ×4 damage every single time.
Well, here we go. Opponents in battle will often notice a thief trying to maneuver behind them. The first rule of fighting is to never turn your back on the enemy. However, someone who isn't expecting to be attacked, a friend or an ally perhaps, can be caught unaware even if he knows the thief is behind him. So, my example of you being a prisoner, the guy thinking you're tied up and cannot attack puts you
Yeah,
behind
the
him.
pedantic part of that argument, though, is you said that the thief was in front of you.
Oh, no,
I
I'm sorry.
still
No.
think your ruling is right, but
Oh, yeah, no. I'm sorry. I misspoke then. I'm
oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah. He gets in front of you because he thinks you're tied up and not a threat.
Okay, so he's got his back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because you're
he's
not
like
a
talking
threat.
to people
He
this way because
knows
your back
you're
got it.
there,
Yeah.
but he doesn't care because you're tied up.
But I would even say, even if you're facing the thief and you're just kind of lording over, like, what you gonna do, tough guys? Oh, what the?
Yeah. You know what? I would actually, I would make that adjudication as well. But according to the rules, you have to be behind.
Right. Okay.
It's called a backstab. I get it. It's not called a surprise stab. Okay. I get it. The multiplier given in table 30 applies the amount of damage before modifiers for strengthened weapon bonuses. That means if you have a 1d6 plus 1, you don't go roll, I rolled a 4, that's 5. 5 times 2 is 10. No. You rolled a 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Okay? That's common in AD&D second edition where you use the multiplier before the bonuses.
Right.
So that
I
depends
think
on your
that's
level.
true with every edition of D&D, isn't it?
Well, I didn't want to make that blanket statement because
Fair.
number one, I don't know, and number two, we're talking about this one.
Yeah.
So it goes up every 4 levels. 1 through 4, you get a times 2 modifier. 5 through 8, times 3, times 4, and times 5 if you're level 13 or higher. And remember, thieves go up levels really fast. So this multiplier is going to get fat really big, really fast. Backstabbing does have its limitations. First, the damage multiplier applies only to the first attack made by the thief, even if multiple attacks are possible. This is if you have the ability to attack more than once in a round, you only get the multiplier for the first attack. Because after that, guess what? You've broken one of the conditions. You still may be behind him, but he knows you're there and he knows you're a threat because you stabbed him. So you've broken the condition of a backstab. Makes sense.
That's kind of how I did it. One backstab against an opponent. Like, you're not going to be able to backstab him a second time this fight, but you can backstab that guy over there and that guy over there as long as you are reasonable in your actions.
I would go further than that. I would say if Darius the thief backstabs you, and then he runs off in front of you, goes down an alley, he's gone. And then he moves silently, climbs walls, sneaks back behind you.
Sure, yeah.
He can do it again because the conditions are now reset.
Right.
But
that's pretty. That's kind of an extreme example, though.
Exactly. But yeah, you can backstab the same guy twice, but those conditions must be present. You got to be behind him, and he's got to either not know you're there or not think you're a threat.
And now I want you to apologize to Darius, who's watching on Rumble right now, for calling him a thief.
Darius, you're a dirty thief, but I hope you are successful in all your thievery. Backstab away, my friend. I'm never going to put you behind me. The victim must be generally humanoid. Part of the skill comes from knowing just where to strike. So, gelatinous cube. You can't backstab a gelatinous cube because the backstab is supposed to go to a vital point. A gelatinous cube doesn't have a vital point. A black pudding doesn't have a vital point. It's all just goo. Anywhere is as good as anywhere, so there's no multiplier. The reason you get the backstab bonus is because you're striking the liver or the kidneys or the spine or whatever. Vital parts. So that also will break the condition. Thieves' cant. A thieves' cant is a special form of communication known by all thieves and their associates. It is not a distinct language. It consists of slang words and implied meanings that can be worked into any language. The vocabulary of thieves' cant limits its use to discussing things that interest thieves. Stolen stuff, easy marks, breaking and entering, mugging, confidence games, and the like. It is not a language, however. Two thieves cannot communicate via thieves' cant unless they know a common language. Okay. Now, in my games, I just don't use this. I just don't. Why? I just don't want to bother with it. I understand its use. I understand why it can be useful. I just don't care. That's just me. I just don't care.
I use it in my games, but on more of a, hey, I'm doing this in Thieves' Cant, and this is what I want to say. I've sat at tables where people spoke jive, Ebonics. Notice a theme there. In order to express it to using Thieves' Cant. But yeah, but there's something very poignant about that. Jive and Ebonics, to some degree, are actual languages. Like, you can hold conversations with that. This is just supposed to imply. This is supposed to allow me to talk to Heathen Dog and sound like it's a normal conversation. We use just enough code that he knows to meet me at 3 o'clock behind, at 3 a.m. behind the water tower, and that's when we're gonna go, do our thing, whatever, So that's the point of it. So similar to Heathen Dog, I don't like being bothered with alignment languages or Thieves' Cant. At the same time, I understand thieves get it. So what is it you're trying to express? All right. It's like codes and espionage to some degree. Yeah, it's like codes and espionage. It's more like talking around stuff where you're using normal language. Everybody thinks you're talking normal, or maybe you throw a weird word out.
But you've changed the meaning of certain words, and the other thief understands the changes you've made. And so you're actually saying something else to him than you are to everybody else. I get it. I just don't use it. That's just all. I just don't do it. You can use scrolls. At 10th level, a thief gains an ability to use magical and wizard and priest scrolls. The thief's understanding of magical writings is far from complete. The thief has a 25% chance to read it correctly and reverse the spell's effect. What?
If you're trying to cast Hold Purse on somebody else, you either released them or cast it on yourself.
Excuse me. This sort of malfunction is almost always detrimental to the thief and his party. Okay. There's a 25% chance you screw up and something bad happens to you and or everyone around you who are your friends. Okay, great. Could be as simple as accidentally casting the reverse of a given spell, or as complex as a foul up on a fireball spell, causing the ball of flame to be centered on you instead of the target. The exact effect is up to the dungeon master. Okay, that sounds horrible. And that doesn't go down when your levels go up. It's flat 25 from level 1 to level 20. Flat 25. You got a quarter chance of screwing up. All right. Sounds fair. It's not fair. Thieves do not build castles or fortresses in the usual sense. Instead, they favor small fortified dwellings, especially if the true purpose of the building is to be disguised. A thief might, for example, construct a well-protected den in a large city behind the facade of a seedy tavern or old warehouse. Naturally, the true nature of the place will be a closely guarded secret. Thieves almost always build their strongholds in or near cities, since that's where their prey is. That's where the money is, in the cities. I'm not going to rob a farmer unless I want corn. I'm going to rob a merchant. He's in town.
If you're going to rob the farmer, you know where you're going. You're going in the barn, into the loft.
I'm going to rob his daughter's virtue. Yeah. But we're going to get to Bard in a minute. We're getting to Bard. Of course, this assumes that the thief is interested in operating a band of thieves. Not all thieves have larceny in their hearts. If a character devoted his life to those aspects of thieving that focus on scouting, stealth, and the intricacies of locks and traps, he could build an entirely different sort of stronghold, one filled with the unusual and intriguing objects he has collected during his adventure's life. You could be like Batman and just have a whole bunch of trophies. Like any thief's home, it should blend with its surroundings. After all, a scout never advertises his whereabouts. It might be a formidable maze of rooms, secret passages, sliding panels, and the like. Once a thief reaches 10th level, his reputation is such that he can attract followers, either a gang of scoundrels or a group of scouts eager to learn from a reputable master. The thief attracts 4d6 of these fellow dudes. They're generally loyal, but a wise thief is always suspicious of his comrades. Table 31 can be used to determine the type and level of followers, or the DM can choose followers appropriate to his campaign. Let's see what level 30
Why is the thief level 10 for everything where everybody else is level 9?
Everybody else is level 9. I know, right? That's kind of messed up. But
of course, he still gets to level 10 faster than you get to level 9.
Yeah, because he's level 10 when everyone else is level 8. So there you go. But that is the thief. And we're going to go. Do you want to split this into thief and bard videos?
Yeah. I've already got it set to be split into thief and bard.
Okay. So that is the thief. Now, if you've read this book before, but it's been years ago, you may have like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Or I didn't know that. That's what happened when I reread it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that.
I knew there was a chance of spell failure. I didn't know it was 25% chance and didn't go down. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Now, I have injected my own commentary. Max has injected his commentary into what we would do at our table. That's an important distinction. What we would do at our table. I am presenting you with the rules as they are.
Yeah.
And then our experience is going to dictate how we alter them because we understand it causes a smoother experience at our table.
You've been reading some of the comments I see. Yeah, people.
No,
it's funny the comment. Well, not here. I mean, like the comments to the videos that go out. It's like I would never do that in my game. But dude, it's like, well, why didn't he cover this other thing? Because he's covering this right here. That's what, it's. I'm not mad. It's just kind of funny. Like I know somebody's going to put out there either completely agreeing with you or completely agreeing with me. The thing is, I never said how I run the game. All I said is I understand why that you roll once and that's it and you're done for opening a lock. And I can use anecdotal evidence that I've watched a police force doing that. And one guy couldn't open it no matter how many times he tried. The other dude went over there, took about 10 seconds, and he popped the door open. That just means that dude has to level up. That's not how I actually run it, though. Now, I run it a little differently than him. You get a minus 10% chance each time. So yeah, if you don't get it the first time, it becomes harder, but you can still try until you get down to 0%.
Then you can't roll anymore.
So, and there's also a chance, but see, this is what I wanted to ask you though. Do you give, before we read comments here, since you just let them keep trying and trying and trying, do you have a opportunity of breaking the lock or the pick at some point?
Oh yeah. Actually, when we get into the thieves picks and the equipment, there is a chance every time it's used, that it's going to break.
Okay. See, so, that changes my argument also. Like, I don't think you understand how this actually. But yeah, if there's a possibility of jamming and so on and so forth, having somebody try again or take longer, there's nothing wrong. What the hell? In my games, if you take longer intentionally, I improve your percentage chance.
Yeah, you're being careful. Okay, great. All right, let's go to chat.
All right. I start a few things here. Let's see. Where did we leave off when it came to the super chats? I'm just going to start here. Yeah, I think this is where we start. Polyrobotics, back to the beginning, says, thieves take property, bards take heart, usually bleed.
Yeah.
By the way, I do not like, and I'll explain why when it gets to it, I do not like bards in 2nd edition. I think they're all but worthless. Unless you give a lot of house rules to help them out.
Well, we will find out next video.
Yeah. Injun Joe says, can there get away with being called handlers, not thieves, not rogues? That's only partially true, and that's only in 2nd edition. They can be thieves and what is it? I think it's thieves, bards, and handlers. The thing is, the handler has the unlimited level restriction, and it's a stupid distinction. Again, everything that Dragonlance is best off the first edition.
If you're not in Dragonlance, there are no Kenders anyway, so shut up.
Yeah, well, I don't let people play them, but it's just one of those weird distinctions that allows now the Kender to go unlimited levels, and he's not the same as a thief. In fact, Kender handlers is how it's always described to me. They might even just replace it with something. Stop it.
Just let it go, man. Don't do that.
But I think the point he's making there is a distinction as you're talking about thieves and bards and so forth, that, the game has those kits, it has those that we're not diving into, that if you really don't like how it describes a thief and you don't want to be the stereotypical thing,
then you get the Thieves Handbook and you could pick this kit that changes your whole deal. I'm like, okay, great.
We're talking did we not read this? Don't we read the... Oh, yeah, we did. Sorry, we did read that. Why is that later? It's weird.
I don't know.
So Darthiek says, what if you stab the enemy in the lungs, which can silence him, or slit his throat, then there's no noise made? Does this not outright give the thief's position away?
Okay, here's the thing. Stabbing someone in the lung, number one, that would be a critical hit, right? That would be, you rolled a 20 on the backstab. That means you get multiplier on top of multiplier and then bonus. You probably just killed him. I mean, if he's not a high level warrior, you probably just killed his ass just right there.
Or you took
And
him out of the
slitting his
fight to the
throat-
point you may as well have.
And slitting his throat in this game, we haven't gotten to the combat section yet, but that's a coup de grace. And you can only do that under certain conditions. And those conditions are not sneaking up behind somebody.
The other thing that I was going to say, and I think you alluded to it with what you were saying there, is he's just talking about, look, in Dungeons and Dragons, no matter how much role playing we want to put into it, we talk about how I would allow that to be a backstab, even though the rules are clearly say that they're not. This game is a hit point based game. You roll damage. You roll a D8 damage for that long sword, or so you're doing short sword backstabbing. You roll that D6 damage for your short sword. You get your multiplier on there. Let's say it's ×3. So let's say you roll a 4 × 3, you do 12 points of damage. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you stabbed him in the lungs. Doesn't mean you stabbed him in the throat. Doesn't mean you stabbed him in the eyeball. Whatever. It just means you did 12 points of damage. Is he alive? Dungeons and Dragons is a whack-a-mole game. That's what I call it. At 0, you're down. At 1, you're up. It's just that simple. Since he's now stabbed, he's now still alive. Therefore, he's not down.
Unless he had less than 12 hit points, then he's dead. And then you can say that you stabbed him in the heart.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because he died immediately.
I don't want to take away from what Darth Theik said, but in our presentation here, the rules are unfortunately simple, and there are no like charts to say what happened or if somebody's silenced or whatever. So that'll be a table by table discussion, right? Doc Flamingo says, always let them backstab anytime it is reasonable that the thief can surprise him. A full turn ducking out of sight with a successful dex save was usually good enough.
Okay, I wouldn't do that. I would say hide in shadows and move silently that is successful against all combatants means they have lost track of you. And then you can move silently behind somebody and backstab them again. If they can't see you or they don't see you, everything's good. If they don't know where you are, they can't be aware of, they're by definition not aware that you're behind them.
Right. And remember, that's 2 rolls. Move silently, hide in shadows. Don't punish them for making 2 rolls.
No.
All right. And then Doc Flamingo follows that up with a membership. Thank you, Doc. Had a fun conversation with Doc on Friday in the after show. Glad I got a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Excuse me, Stuart. I speak thieves' can. Dude, the best thing about that, and I can't express this to my wife enough, is yes, I'm 50, so this is still before my time, but I understand the reference, was Leave It to Beaver's mom. That's what sold it for me. It was Leave It to Beaver's mom that did that.
I watched that show when I was a kid.
But yep, same here.
Yeah,
that nice,
so I got it,
mom.
and I was like, oh my God.
And she's speaking jive, and you're like, yes!
It's June Cleaver. What the hell?
Oh, I love that. That movie is so good. And thank you for the membership, Doc. Mondo Hand says, time flies. I don't know if that was too, but maybe it was for his membership. But hey, you know what, Mondo? It's good to see you. See you in the comments a lot. So thank you very much for your membership as well. Okay, that's all that I started. A lot of good conversation going on with them, just back and forth and so forth. And like I said, Darius has been chatting over there on the Rumble side. So thank you for your comments. So tell us about the Bard, man. What are you going to talk about?
Okay, well, as you can see, the Bard has a little more prerequisites to it. You got to be human and a half elf. Dexterity and charisma are primary requisites. And like the ranger and the paladin, you have 3 ability requirements, but they're not as extreme. But a charisma 15 is no joke.
Yeah, but all those ability requirements for the letdown of the class.
In many people's eyes, I agree. But Bard exists. We're going to go over it.
That is true. All right, well then, I want to thank everybody for being here. What are your thoughts on the thief? What interesting ways have you seen people play a thief that the game master approved of? What ways have you seen a thief ruin your campaign because the player thought that he could just do whatever shenanigans he wanted to do? You know, there are a lot of thief horror stories out there, and they're usually from bad players, not from bad games. But maybe we'll comment on them if you got an exceptionally bad one, and then mock somebody's playstyle. Sure, I don't know. But with that, please like, subscribe, and share, and look forward to talking to you about the Bard.